Hello everyone, today in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create variables in MATLAB. There's a couple of rules that we need to follow while creating variables, so we're going to cover that. We're going to also cover different types of variables, how to create arrays, how to create vectors, and all that information. So let's start. So some rules on creating variables in MATLAB. Variable names must start with a letter, so we are not allowed to start variables with a number or with special characters. However, if we want to use a number on a variable name, that's perfectly okay. Just make sure that we always start the variable with a letter. Okay? Variables are case sensitive. So if you define a variable capital X and one variable at lower x, they're going to be completely different variables and MATLAB will recognize that. Other than the first letter of variables can contain our variables can contain letters, digits like the underscore if we want to separate them. We don't need our variables are not allowed to have space in between their names. Okay? Variables can be any length, but only the first n characters are used. That means that when we create a really long variable name, that's perfectly okay with MATLAB, but only the n number of characters will be displayed on the screen. Variables cannot have the same name as any of the MATLAB keywords. Some of the keywords are, for example, the for, if. Some of these are not allowed to be used as variable names. Okay, MATLAB also allows you to use the name of built-in functions, but this is not recommended. Okay, for example, there's a function called plot. Don't use the name or the word plot as your function because what is going to happen is going to mess up the plot function. So if you're trying to plot something but you have your variable name plot, then MATLAB will not be able to plot it. Basically, it's going to try to access that variable first. So let's cover some example of variables. For example, we can create x equals 3, y equals 5. Okay, so if we go to MATLAB, let me open it. Okay, so here we have MATLAB, and I say a equals x equals 3, enter, y equals 5, enter. I have created variables. You can see the variables are here on the command window, and I can see them stored in memory here on the workspace. Also, I can create operations and assign the result directly to variables. For example, a sum of 3 plus 6. So whatever comes out of the summation will be stored inside the variable a sum. So let's look at this. So a sum equals 3 plus 6, enter. So the result is 9, and that's stored on our variable a sum. If I want to know what's inside the variable a sum, I can just type a sum, enter, and it will tell me that's equal to 9. And I can do the same for other operations like multiplication and division. We can also create matrices and vectors in MATLAB. Okay, matrices and vectors are created by using square brackets. Okay, if we use a comma, basically we're separating elements on the same row. If we use semicolon, we're separating elements into, basically we're creating new rows on our matrix. So for example, a equals square brackets 2.7. Okay, so a equal square bracket 2.7, enter. That's basically the same as saying a equals 2.7. Everything in MATLAB is an array. It is just basically a 1 by 1 array. Now in the second case, b is equal to 2, 5, and 10. This is going to create a vector that has the element 2, 5, and 10. So if I make it b equals to 2, comma, 5, comma, 10. I forgot the square brackets, so let's add them together. Okay, so that creates my vector b equals 2, 5, and 10. If we look here at the workspace, you can see that the vector b, or the variable b, has the elements 2, 5, and 10. And it's telling us that b is a 1 by 3 vector. In the case of C, we have a matrix. We have the first row 4, 8, and 9, semicolon 11, 42, 4, semicolon 3, 4, and 7. So these will create a 3 by 3 matrix. So let's see. C equals I don't remember exactly a number, so I'm just going to type different numbers here. So now if you look, I have 578 semicolon 357 semicolon 957 enclose the square bracket. Press enter, and now I have created a matrix. Basically, my matrix have rows and columns. And if I look here at the workspace, see it's a 3 by 3 double. That means it's a matrix made out of 3 by 3 elements, and I can see the elements here on my matrix. This table basically shows all the operations in MATLAB, how to perform an addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponent in MATLAB. So this is nothing new. You have worked with this on other type of programming languages, but just to make sure that you understand how to perform operations in MATLAB. In terms of arithmetic operations, the way it works is that like this. Parentheses start from the innermost first. Exponentiation goes from left to right. Multiplication and division goes also from left to right. And addition and subtraction goes also from left to right. Okay? So for example, I'll give you a really quick example. Let me go to MATLAB, clear the space. So we're going to calculate the area of a trapezoid. Okay, so let me create a variable. The variable's base, height 1, height 2. So let's say base is equal to 5. Enter. Then I say height underscore 1 underscore 1 is equal to 12. And height underscore 2 it's equal to 6. So I have my variables here on the workspace. I can see height is here, height 1, height 2, and my base is also here. So I have all of these. Now what can I do with those? Well, I can basically calculate the area of the trapezoid, or basically write the function that I need. So area is going to be equal to 0.5 times the base. So area will be equal to 0.5 times the base multiplied by, and open a parenthesis, it's going to be height 1 plus height 2. So it's going to be height 1, whoops, plus height. I made a typo there, so now I need to deal with that typo. Height 2. Press enter, and basically MATLAB pulls out the information from the variables, place it on the equation, calculate the value, and store it back into our variable area. So this is basic understanding of MATLAB, of how to use variables and the workspace to use to calculate numbers. Let me clear everything so that it deletes my workspace and my command window, and let's move forward. We can perform matrix additions. So if B and C are matrices, we can add them together by saying B plus C, and the result will be stored on A. Or B plus 3. Basically, we add the matrix 3 and we add the matrix B with the element or the constant 3, and we store the result on A. Matrix multiplication, matrix division, and matrix exponent. These are what we call element by element operations. You can see the dot right here at the bottom. Let me grab the pointer. There you go. You can see the dot here, A dot times A dot divided and A dot exponent. This basically is telling us that it's an element by element operation. I'll talk more about arrays operations later on other videos. For now, we're just gonna stay with this. There's scientific notation in MATLAB. For example, if you want to write 6.022 times 10 to the 23, in MATLAB it's going to be 6.022e23. And the e is not an exponent. It should be e and then the number 23. So 1.4 times 10 to the negative 10 in MATLAB will be 1.4e to the negative 10. So let me show you the first one. So it's 6.022e to the 23. That basically saves the number as an exponent or a scientific notation. Other display formats in MATLAB, basically we have format short. It will display basically 4 decimals. Format long will display 14 decimals. Format E will display everything on 4 decimal scientific notation. Format long E, 15 decimals in scientific notation. Format bank will be 2 decimals. And format plus, basically it will just show us if it's a positive or a negative. Okay? So for example, let me store a really big number. A is equal to 1 point, but you know what? A is equal to pi. Enter. So you can see A it's equal to 3.1416. By default, MATLAB is in format short. But if we say format long, and change the way MATLAB displays things, and I say enter, now it's showing me a lot of more decimals. Now, this doesn't change the way it operates in MATLAB. MATLAB, when it performs operations, it takes all the decimals available. It is just the way information is displayed on the command window. So most of the time, I'll just use format short, and then I say A equals, and I display 4 decimals. Saving, you can save your command window, or basically your work, by saying save and the file name, and load and the file name. And the only thing is MATLAB gonna save is your workspace. It's gonna save your variables. It's not gonna save your commands. For example, save and then parenthesis test1. Okay, so I save it. I forgot the apostrophes. There you go. Test1. Okay, I already saved that. So I can say, and you can see it appear here on current folder, that I have test1 mat.mat. That basically is the save file. So I can delete everything from my workspace, clear and CLC. So there's nothing. You can see I don't have anything on the workspace. And then I can say load test1 apostrophe close parentheses, enter, and you can see the variables are loaded again into my workspace. This is useful when we are working with code or something that we need to store the variables or save the variables by some reason. This is how we save them, and then later we load them. Later, I'm going to show you how to work with script files in MATLAB. These will allow us to basically create codes. We can write commands, comments, and functions, and these can be run multiple times. So this is something that I'll go and show you on another video. So if you want to work, basically, this is example in MATLAB on how to use MATLAB to calculate more complex things. For example, we can create a variable that will contain the mass of the Earth, and we can store that. So let's say mass of the Earth is going to be equal to 6.6 times 10 to the 24 kilograms, 6e to the 24. Okay, so that's the mass of the Earth. And then the mass of the Moon will be equal to 7.4 times 10 to the 22, E22. And then the Earth and the Moon, basically the radius or the distance from the Earth to the Moon, it is going to be 3.9 times 10 to the 8. So it's 3.9 e to the 8. Got it right? Okay. And finally, my universal gravitational constant, G. So G is going to be equal to 6.673 times 10 to the minus 11 e to the minus 11. Store it. So now I have all my variables stored on the workspace. Now I can calculate the force, or basically the gravitational force that is felt by these two. So F is going to be equal to my gravitational constant times, so it's going to be the mass of the Earth times the mass of the Moon divided by the distance or the radius square. So that's going to be, I never stored that, no. So it's going to be divided by, rather than using the variable, I'm just going to use a number, 3.9 e to the 8. Got it? Enter. Oh, I told you it's case sensitive, so I need to do mm, and there you go. And that's the result that we get. Just to be formal, I like to do things. Oh, and I forgot the square. So let me fix that. So r is 3.9 e to the 8. Okay. So my equation is f is equal to g times the mass of the Earth times the mass of the Moon divided by the radius square. Enter. And that's basically the gravitational force felt by all these. So this is one way to work with MATLAB. It is not the only way to do it. There are a lot more functions in MATLAB. For example, the absolute value, square root, round, fixed, floor, ceiling, sine, remainder, exponential, logarithmic, log base 10. We're going to see these functions as we move forward learning MATLAB. We have also trigonometric functions, sine, cosine, tangent, arcsine, hyperbolic sine, and we have functions for data analysis like the max, min, mean, median, sum, product, sort, size, and length. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. On the next video, I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to work matrices in MATLAB. Okay, that's it, and see you on the next video. Bye-bye.